So I guess I just had to be awoken from my not making content slumber to Twitch. And I wanted to wait, like I was following this as it came out live. I wanted to wait until Twitch responded because, of course, they were going to. But essentially, if you've been living under a rock, everybody's been talking about this. It's now, of course, since been walked back, as I said. But there are still things, some points I want to make because this shit, what can I even say? Twitch is incomprehensibly just completely destroying their company. And I've been saying this for over a year now, and I've got some things I want to get off my chest on this one. So if you didn't follow it, I'll just give you the cliff notes. Essentially, you need the timeline, which is Twitch have been pretty clear. They're not making money on the platform. So, of course, if you're not making money on a platform, and of course Twitch is owned by Amazon, what are you going to do? You're going to figure out ways to squeeze every last penny you can out of it. So what originally was harming the consumer experience, which is put mid-roll ads as a guarantee on all people's streams. You've got the pre-roll ads, which you can turn off by running mid-roll ads, aka interrupt the content that people are watching and give them a worse experience. Then on top of that, they started doing these like ad incentive agreements where, you know, you run more ads and you get paid a terrible small sum of money unless you're a massive streamer. And if you're a massive streamer, the money's still not worth it to diminish your user experience. Because if you are a massive streamer that's getting these thousands, tens of thousands of dollar agreements on these ads, you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year anyway, so it doesn't really matter all that much. Then, of course, Twitch did the good old, we used to pay some streamers, and they were offering lots of streamers, even ones that only had maybe a couple hundred concurrent viewers, up to a couple thousand concurrent viewers, up to the very pinnacle of the streaming sphere. They were offering them 70-30 content splits on subscription revenue, which if you don't know, affiliates, which is like your leg in the door, and original as soon as you join as partners with no additional agreement, get 50-50 sub-splits, which I have come to accept that is not good, but I also understand why that is the standard for Twitch, because they still don't earn money. But of course, contrasting that to Kick, who are offering 95% to the creator, 5% to themselves, looking mighty tasty, I might say. So they scaled back those 70-30 splits to give the creator, doesn't matter how big you are, unless they're literally terrified of losing you and want to cling on to you for dear life, 50-50 splits. So that didn't come with better tools, it didn't come with better agreements, it didn't come with, you know, them sending a model around to jerk you off on a Sunday morning. It came essentially months after we're making the experience worse for you and users, and we're also taking money out of your pocket that used to be there. Then they did this, you know, we're starting our own ad agency basically, and we're going to be able to show you deals and you can accept them. And then we'll run ads on your channel. You know, you'll be able to accept, oh, Raid Shadow Legends is the best game ever. Double thumbs up, definitely is the best game ever. And we'll give you money. But because it's through Twitch, obviously Twitch is now your agent, essentially. Now they are taking a cut on your behalf, and you probably don't know how much that cut is or what they're getting on the back end. And I said this was bad. And of course, people agreed or disagreed to varying amounts. Asmongold reacted to this, and I think specifically in that video, Asmongold said this is good for small streamers and perhaps medium streamers. I don't want to misrepresent what he's saying, but I think that was one of the points. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I went and posted a comment on that video, and essentially what I said here, not to get into it all too much, is that this is not the biggest deal in the world that Amazon's offering these sponsorship deals to you as a company, you as a streamer, for now. But what you have to do is, when you're looking at anything related to smart corporate companies, like look at Rolex's business strategy. They don't deal in years or decades. They deal in 100 years in the future, what we want Rolex to be. Amazon don't play the short game of like, oh, a couple months here, a couple months there, year here, year there. What Amazon does is they squeeze people out of markets. They've factually done this on their own marketplace, where they said, come and sell your products on the Amazon marketplace. And then when something gets popular, what they do is they just go to the manufacturer who makes it already, make their own version that's Amazon Basics, and then de-rank your listing and rank their listing of the same product and literally just force you out of the market. So if you take that as a business concept and apply it to, we will now be your agent for sponsor deals. When people say things like, oh, for small creators who can't go and find these themselves and Twitch making it easier, that is a good thing in the short term. I agree. I absolutely agree. But the problem is that looking at the macro picture, the big picture of things like this, lets you know that they're not doing this as like a short-term good for our user base. They're doing this to corner the market because what they see is we own this platform and people are getting PayPal donations, then we don't get anything of that, so they introduce bits. People are getting these donations and people aren't using bits as much, so they introduced community gifted subs. People are getting brand deals and we get nothing out of that, so why don't we present the brand deals and then we take a cut as well? And in all of these circumstances, they are obviously going to do the thing that makes them the most appealing, I guess, server of these specific benefits and these specific products. So what Amazon can do is essentially they can just squeeze third-party agencies out of the market and go directly to these big companies and say, why are you dealing with these agencies and these creators on their own? Why don't you just deal with us? And maybe there'll be some kind of incentive for the company. Maybe they'll take less of a cut originally to essentially put other people out of business or prevent them from using them and make everyone think Amazon's really good and Twitch is really good for doing this. But eventually, it's going to be bad for the consumer. It's always going to be bad if there's going to be a monopoly in something, or if a big company is doing this on your behalf as opposed to you having the agency to shop around. And this is a really, really long story. This is 7 minutes of going into before I even talk about why this video exists, because I do feel like everything I've just said in the last 7.5 minutes is key context of what we're about to talk about and why this exists, and why it's way more insidious than what people initially thought and what I've not heard people specifically talk about, although of course I've not watched every minute of everybody talking about this topic. So what Twitch did was they came out and said, these are our new guidelines on Twitch, aka you follow these or you get banned. That's it. It's terms of service. You are subject to our rules, and these are the new rules. What they said was you are not allowed logos on stream unless they're limited to 3% of screen size. Now, why 3% of screen size? Well, that's because then when Twitch turns around to a company and says, oh, you want your logo on streams? Well, you could give it to a streamer for 3% of screen size, or you could give it to us for 20. It's essentially a way to, that's a silly example with numbers, but that is exactly what this is. This is a way for them to be able to give a product better than the individual can, because they're allowed to, because it's their platform and they've set the rules. You can't insert burned-in video ads. Streamers may not insert video ads directly into their streams. I wonder why that is. Is it because Twitch are going to do that on your behalf, and therefore they don't want you doing it? It, of course, also means that they're then preventing any kind of third party from running ads that would essentially circumvent giving Twitch's cut, as Twitch would, of course, want. So they're the big things. You also can't insert burned-in audio ads, so you can't have a voice popping up and saying, go to your local store and buy some Asahi Super Dry. Banging beer, by the way, definitely. I'm not sponsored, and also, I don't think any of my audience are kids, but, drink responsibly. And you can't insert burned-in display ads either, which is essentially just an ad that you put through your OBS, and it sends it encoded to the server and then gets broadcast to other people. So they're, of course, limiting what you can put on the screen. Now, combine that, of course, with their previous, we're going to be selling sponsors and things through our inbuilt service that gives creators the opportunity to just click something and I'm now sponsored by this company. I'm doing this branded deal with this company via Twitch being my agent, essentially. All of that combined is just bad. It's just bad. And Twitch, of course, tweeted this out. And then they came out and said, and this was their initial reaction, because people lost their fucking mind over this, rightfully so. And I saw some mental, just normal, non-streamer comments. Millionaires on Twitch getting upset because they have the hardest job in the world and they'd want to make even more million. Fuck off, mate. Just fuck off. It's like people don't understand the concept of relativity of complaining. Like, if we went by those people's metrics of, oh, you have a cushy job by streaming. And of course, that's the easiest thing in the world. There's no such thing as problems with it. I'd love to be doing that, of course. You can't complain because of that. Even if a company was paying you X dollars, but then they're paying you half as much now randomly for arbitrary reasons for no benefit to you, just shut the fuck up because you've got a good job, so you have no right to complain. Mad shit. But Twitch, back to the problem at hand. Today's branded content policy update was overly broad. No, it wasn't. It was very specific, actually. You can't say something was overly broad and then have the word 3% in it. I think that's about as specific as you can get, to be honest. You're going down to single-digit percentage fucking measurements. I want to laugh, though, about this, because imagine being a Twitch mod and having to sift through this, right? You come up to somebody's stream and you're like, oh man, that ad right there looks to be 3.4% of the screen. Get in, boys. Look, fuck off, man. Absolutely insane as a concept, but I don't think it's overly broad, very specific. This created confusion and frustration, and we apologize for that. I wasn't very confused. So they say, we do not intend to limit streamers' ability to enter into direct relationships with sponsors, and we understand that this is an important part of how streamers earn revenue. I don't believe this. I just think that they probably got caught a little bit too soon, because this is a classic example of you're sat on a boat chilling with your boys, fishing rod, maybe having a brewski, and Twitch comes over and they just put their foot on the boat and they just push it out a tiny little bit, and you're like, oh man, this boat's moved. It's moved a little bit. It's noticeable, but whatever. And then they keep doing that. And then eventually, you can't see the shore anymore. You're fucking out at sea, mate. You're going to drown eventually, or a whale's going to get you or something. This is what all these companies do. It's death by 1,000 cuts. They've walked up to you with a spoon, and they're slapping you on the forehead with it. Eventually, you're getting motherfucking brain damage, is what I'm trying to say. We wanted to clarify that our existing ads policy that was intended to prohibit third-party ad networks from selling burned-in videos and display ads on Twitch, which is consistent with other services. I don't believe that this is such an issue that has existed, that they would need to change this site-wide as a terms of service in this ridiculous manner. I sincerely don't, and if it does, and I'm completely wrong on all of this, I don't think I am, I really, really don't think I am, then you have another problem, Twitch, which is your ability to communicate with your audience is so fucking bad that whoever is doing this is negligent and should probably not be working at a company of this size, doing things of this magnitude, because you're obviously not capable of understanding ramification of how people would perceive things, and that literally is your job when you're making site-wide changes to something that is like 70% of the market for live streaming, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Then they say, we missed the mark with the policy language and we'll rewrite the guidelines to be clearer. Thank you for sharing your concerns and we appreciate the feedback. We'll notify the community once we have updated the language. Now, I think this is an awful, awful response. There's like 3 more things I've got to bring up here, so you're going to be here for another 10 minutes, guys. Buckle in. So then, of course, they posted this, and I was waiting for this to come out before I released the video. Yesterday, we released new branded content guidelines that impacted your ability to work with sponsors to increase your income from streaming. These guidelines are bad for you and bad for Twitch, and we are removing them immediately. Motherfucker, please. How are you going to force feed me human feces and tell me that it's chocolate cake? These guidelines are bad for you and bad for Twitch. You made them. They're only good for Twitch if you don't notice. They were good. But, mate, if you know how these corporations work, you think this is just something they chalked up on a Monday afternoon and on Tuesday it went live. This literally went through multiple layers of higher-ups, through legal, through PR people, through hundreds of people potentially, before it got to this point to go live on a website of that magnitude that was purchased years ago for $1 billion. And just now you've come to the conclusion, actually, they were bad for you and bad for us. Mate, stop it. Don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. Of course, they got noted by Twitter, which I love, saying Twitch's terms of service still state that you can't do this. So right now, according to this at least, unless it's been changed since this went up, it is still in their agreement. So they say sponsorships are critical to streamers' growth and ability to earn income. We will not prevent your ability to enter into direct relationships with sponsors. You will continue to own and control your sponsorship business. Now, this is what I believe to be perfectly worded PR. Now, if I was a cynical, skeptical person, What I'd do is I'd look at this and see that they're saying that they're not preventing your ability. And they never do, because that would be wrong. That would be, even in some cases, maybe have some form of legality issue with it. What these companies do is they don't prevent you from doing something. They just heavily incentivize other people to not deal with you, and then heavily incentivize you to deal with them. And then eventually, before you know it, you have no real option to do that in the first place. So they're not preventing your ability. They're just making it harder for you to have that ability eventually. We want to work with our community to create the best experience on Twitch. And to do that, we need to be clear about what we're doing and why we're doing it. We appreciate your feedback in helping making this change. I can answer this real simply. And if you ever have a question of why Twitch are doing something, just answer it with money. It's the very wateries where we're not having a conversation about this anymore. And, there's no nuance to this conversation whatsoever. They're doing it because of money. It just is what it is. It's the easy and real, just true answer. Now, I am quite upset by some of the reactions here. Asmongold is someone I have a lot of respect for. And to tweet at this and say W, thank you, W standing for win, of course, I understand he obviously has a much broader perhaps understanding of this, and also has a bigger connection to Twitch, and he's been on the platform for a real long time. It's where he's earned most of his money, I'd imagine, and where he continues to do business. He doesn't really, because he streams on a channel that's not even monetized, but he's there, and I understand why he'd have this opinion, and I guarantee he's had a broader approach to this than just a W, thank you guys, on this. What I will say, though, is for all the Twitch streamers, all the people that was outraged by them doing this in the first place, when they turn around and just say, oh yeah, we fucked up, sorry, that's not a W, that's still an L. In fact, I think that's a double L, and we're not turning double L into a W here. They basically tried to fuck you in the ass, and then noticed when you start resisting and said, yeah, sorry about that, mate, my bad. They essentially walked into the same room you were in, stared you directly in the eyes, forcibly shit themselves, and then when you said, what the fuck are you doing, mate, that smells, they just maintained eye contact the whole time and said, oh, my bad. And then people are obviously like, oh yeah, we're going to still stay on the platform and this is all good. This is not the first thing they've done. It's not going to be the last thing they've done. It's been month on month, just bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. This is not going to be where the line is drawn. And I'm also going to show you some other stuff. It's even possible, that this outrage and everything was literally manufactured. I'm not, conspiracy theory time, because they also slid something else in there. While you were concerned that they were tweaking your nipples, they were slipping a pinky up your bum. They slid in this simulcasting thing, which, if you don't know, essentially what Twitch originally was in their terms of service, I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong again on this, you couldn't simultaneously cast to multiple platforms if you were live on Twitch. And that was just a broad terms of service thing. It might have just been for partners. But essentially, they rolled that back a while ago and said partners and affiliates who have signed a contract with Twitch can stream on other platforms, but not simultaneously. So, i.e., you can't go live on Twitch and be live on YouTube and Kick and Facebook at the same time if you're a partner or an affiliate, which is understandable, but they did roll it back so you can not be live on Twitch and go stream on YouTube for a day or, whatever. What they did have, though, is that if you're not an affiliate or a partner of Twitch, you've not signed that contract, you could simultaneously cast between Twitch and any amount of platforms you wanted, which Ninja didn't go on a partner contract specifically so he could simultaneously cast to all the websites. And I'm sure some other people have done it, but Ninja is the biggest one that does this, which means he doesn't earn any money from Twitch directly. He probably still has donations enabled, and he probably gets people to go to his Patreon or whatever else he's got, sponsor stuff, but he doesn't get money from Twitch, and he doesn't earn Twitch money. So when all of this happened and Twitch were updating this terms of service, as you can see here, simulcasting. This is new, by the way. When you're streaming live on Twitch services, you may not simultaneously live stream or broadcast, simulcast, on any other Twitch-like service, meaning any web-based network, platform, or service that supports live streaming of user-generated content without advance written permission from Twitch. They're doing that for esports and stuff, and for broadcasts that are not just a simple user. They're going to give dispensation for, Overwatch League or they're not even on there anymore, are they? Like a CSGO tournament or whatever that does it on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. But they're not going to give written permission to just random streamers, because if they did, they wouldn't have put this in there. So essentially what they're saying is you now just can't simulcast at all. You can't do it if you're a partner, an affiliate, and if you've not signed any contract. So they slid this change in there, and I think this is unreasonable. I think it's unfair to limit, these people are not in a contract with you at all, but is just yet again another way for Twitch to just have dominion over what you're doing while you're on their platform. This is Ninja's take on it. We might as well listen.
They're basically forcing my hand. I'm not partnered on Twitch. I don't make money there. I make $0 on Twitch. So they then put a rule in that says I can't stream. I can't simulcast. What am I going to choose? Am I going to choose streaming to YouTube, TikTok, Kick, other Facebook all at the same time? Am I going to choose streaming all to there? Or am I going to just only stream to Twitch and make no money?
So he has a point, of course. They're essentially forcing him off the platform, and anyone else who does this. But I think predominantly it's going to be Ninja that is affected compared to everybody else. And I don't know, man. I just think that what people need to do, and I'm going to walk it like I talk it. I'll probably just start streaming on Kick at this point. I almost never stream. I don't have a large audience on Twitch, so it makes no fucking difference whatsoever. But I'm not going to continue streaming on Twitch while ever they continue doing stuff like this. And I think until people really show Twitch, not just in words, but in actions, that you can't just keep making the experience worse. You just can't keep taking things away from people without giving them anything. And you can't just keep fucking with people like this without there being some kind of repercussion, because it's not even just that they are doing these things because some of them get walked back when they're so egregious. It's that they think this is the direction, this is the way forward. And if that's where their head is on things like this, I don't have to say it, but people should understand that the next couple of years for Twitch, it's not going to get better, is it? Like, this is not going to stop. And there's only one thing these people understand, and that is the loss of revenue, the loss of market share. So yeah, that's Twitch. They also published a new agreement that you have to go and sign if you're a partner, which I am. And if you don't sign it, presumably within 30 days or whatever, you're just going to get kicked off the partner program. So there we go. This whole Twitch thing is just a fucking mess. And I don't want to be proven right on this one about the whole like branded thing, but it just goes to show that I was more right than wrong in my assessment that this is not the end of what they were trying to do with that. This is simply the beginning, and they've tried to get in on this angle, but you can guarantee in a couple months, couple weeks, couple years, whatever it's going to be, there will be another angle they'll go at. And each time, if they just slip a finger in every single time, eventually they're going to be fisting you. And that's how these companies operate. So you've won on this one, you got the finger out, but the opening's still there. Thanks for watching. I'll make more content at some point. Who knows? But yeah, I'll see you next time. Peace out.